Yo, what's up guys? Let me start with a story from a few years ago that taught me that obeying the system isn't really an option and that it's a big lie that isn't worth our time and attention. So, a few years ago, I was riding a bus in my country where I live. We have to pay for the bus, and I buy a ticket for 3 months, and I just don't have to worry about buying new tickets. It would be cheaper to buy a monthly ticket than daily buy new tickets. So I had like a 3-month ticket, and I'd every day have a ticket with me. But one day I was like, yeah, this night I'm gonna buy another ticket because it expires today. And that day a ticket collector came and he found me an equivalent of 3 months of pocket money that I'd get from my mom. He wanted me to pay him equivalent of 3 months of my work because that one day I didn't have the ticket. Every single fucking day for the past few years I had the ticket. But that one unfortunate day that I was about to buy the ticket, I got caught stealing. I was treated like a thief. The system doesn't give a shit about you being a good person. The system doesn't give a shit about you even obeying it. You might slip even once. You might be fair for fucking years, and you will be rewarded with what? With 3 months of your fucking work. That day taught me that system is just fucked up. That is just broken. But it's not over. That day I went to school and I got a message to my parents from one of my teachers for cussing. I said, God damn it, or whatever. And my mother got a message for cussing. Like, what is even the benefit for school to write to my parents for that? Where the fuck is my free speech? Like, it doesn't exist. The system just said that students are not allowed to cuss. So whenever I hear a student cussing, I can write to their parents and disturb their ass. But it's not over of that day. That day, it was German lesson, which is also completely useless. I'm never going to Germany. I can't even speak fluently in German. But I'm getting a little bit off the topic. I called to my mom on a break, but she didn't respond immediately. So the lesson started, and my mom called me back. So I pick up the phone, answer it, and say to her, wait a second, I'm gonna ask my teacher if I can answer this phone. And I ask the teacher if I can. And the teacher is like, no, you can't. And so I said to my mom, no, I can't. So I said to my mom that I can't. And the teacher was like, wait, did you pick up the phone? Did you just pick up the phone? Are you on a call right now? I said, yes, I am. I'm just asking you if I can talk with my mom. If I can speak with my mom for a little while. And she was like, what the fuck? Like, you can't do... Like, and she got super fucking angry that I did that. That I answered my mom's call. And she also wrote a message to her. Also disturbing her ass. And then we had a discussion for a little bit about this being not appropriate. That day taught me that system is fucked up. That it has fucked up rules. That being fair for years doesn't pay off. And then I thought to myself, it's the exact same with the work system. I look at all the people around me and the system told them that if they go to work for years, they will be rich. But guess what? We are not rich. And the people around me are not rich. The system told them that if they slave their asses, but it wouldn't say in that way. The system told them that if they just work, if they go to their 9 to 5 job, they will be rich. But they aren't. You can work for 50 fucking years and still be living paycheck to paycheck. I can't even imagine that. You can live your entire life working, and working in a fair way, and working hard, and yet still end up as an old man who hasn't experienced life because he doesn't have means to. I don't want to end up as the 50-year-old man who didn't travel around the world, who didn't have new experiences because he just didn't have means to. I could work for so many decades and still be left with nothing. Still be left with that same headache that I had for decades because I have no means to live. Because I can't buy a car. I can't buy my own place. I have to rent it. I have to work after hours just to be able to eat as much as I should. To just live. People can work 50 years and still be left with nothing. So the system doesn't give a shit about how much you work. It doesn't. And many of you know it. Like, it's quite obvious, it's quite apparent that it's the case. So you might think that the answer is to open a business. But it's also not the case. My girlfriend's father has a business, but as well as all the other people who just work their 9 to 5 jobs, he is a slave to his business. Not all the way around. He doesn't work when he wants, because he has to work all the time. He doesn't even make that much money. So, even though opening a business might be an answer that you think is right, but it might not be. I watched a Hamza video a few days ago, and he showed it exactly how it is the case. There are 4 ways of getting money. You can either be not busy and poor, you can be busy and poor, you can be rich but busy, and you can be rich and not busy. Most of us thinks that you have to be busy and rich. That is the way that you can achieve success. But it's really not. First of all, let's agree that all these people who work 9 to 5 jobs, who obey the system, are busy and poor. They work so fucking much for pennies, for so little money. So obeying the system makes you poor and busy, which is pretty much one of the worst scenarios that you can have. You have no time, you have no energy for anything because you've spent all your time and energy on work that doesn't even give you money. Then you find a solution that you can open a business. So you work. And you work. You are rich, but you are busy. You have no time to do any other thing. Like my girl's father. He's just so fucking busy that he might be rich. I don't know how much he makes, but I don't think he makes that much. But even if he made, he is still a slave to his work, to his business. So the real answer, the real escaping matrix, the real escaping the fucked up system is to find something that you don't have to be busy. If you want to, you can, but you don't have to. It's a choice. And you are rich. And what are these things? I'm still guessing, I'm still not rich, and I'm still learning, but it doesn't mean that I can't tell you that the system that we are currently in and that obeying it is not gonna be the way that we are all gonna get to the top and that we are all gonna get successful. It's not. And even though I might not be rich, even though I might not know the answer to the question of how can I be both rich and not busy, I do know for certain that obeying the system, that going to a 9-to-5 job isn't the answer. Because all these people around me obey the system and they ended up in pretty much poverty. But I think that if you solve a big enough problem and you solve it to enough people, you will be rewarded with being rich. And if you find a way to not be busy at the same time, perfect. Because all these people who work their 9-to-5 jobs, most of them might not be working jobs that are solving big problems. Working behind a counter is hard. I'm not saying that it is. I'm not denying that working at McDonald's or working behind the counter is hard. It is. But it's not a big problem that they are solving. So the bigger the problem that you solve is, the bigger the potential of getting money is. And for example, YouTube, and more specifically, self-improvement on YouTube is a big problem. Because if you're somebody that for your whole life has been obeying the system and has been brainwashed by it that you're gonna be rich by going to your 9-to-5 jobs, by going to university, by getting in debt, by doing all these things, this video might just change the trajectory of your life. This video just solved a huge problem in your life. Just changed your entire path that you are heading. So even though I'm not working as hard as somebody behind the counter, I might be solving a bigger problem than them. And that's the job, that's the task that I want you to have in order to escape the system and to become rich. I hope you found this video helpful, and I hope we all find a way to escape the system. Of course, we can't do it fully, but to a big extent. So type in comments if I'm right and if you agree with me, and how would you go by escaping the system. Thanks for watching, subscribe, like the video if you found it helpful, and see you guys till next time.